And to, look, Greta Thunberg, you know, the poor woman, we need to give her some help. She is stuck in America right now, stuck in America, which is just a shocking thing for the poor woman, after sailing there from Europe. Now, she's stuck because she refuses to fly or use fossil fuels. That's why she came over in a boat. But now she has to get back to Europe in a hurry. When she first came to America, she thought she could then use trains or electric cars, go down the US to Chile to attend a UN climate conference next month. But whoopsie-daisy, Chile has been hit by weeks of riots over rises in the cost of living, and get this, especially in the cost of train travel. And so the UN conference has been switched to Spain. Question: how is Greta Thunberg meant to get to Spain from the US in just 4 weeks without catching a plane, or a ship for that matter? Now, she's tweeted an appeal for help. Turns out, she says, I've travelled halfway around the world the wrong way, and now I need to find a way to cross the Atlantic in November. If anyone could help me find transport, I would be so grateful. And of course, winter is setting in, so heaven knows what the Atlantic is like at this time of year. Joining me is the federal politician who has studied global warming most closely, the Liberals' Craig Kelly. Craig, thanks for your time. What does this signify to you? I mean, how about the impossible cost of the sort of sacrifices Thunberg demands that we make to stop global warming?
Firstly, Andrew, we have to, when we're talking about young Greta Thunberg, acknowledge she's a 16-year-old girl that is being exploited by some very nefarious type characters, especially the Secretary-General of the United Nations, that Portuguese socialist Guterres. So I want to make that very clear. We are not criticising her, as a young 16-year-old girl. We are criticising the people behind her that are pulling her strings. But look, this idea that she can't go back to Europe because she doesn't want to fly in a plane is just absurd, Andrew. It's absolutely absurd. There are something like 4.5 billion people that make commercial flights every single year. There's 45 million flights across the world a year. The idea that one person making some difference in commercial flights is just preposterous. And also, we have to be very careful here in Australia. We rely on international air transport. We can't allow our international air sector to be demonised like coal-fired power stations have.
No, Craig, look, if global warming believers think they can't use a plane, they're trapped for the rest of their lives in Australia, I just think it's a tax on stupidity. I'm laughing. I don't care. I don't care at all. But let's not forget, though, that Greta Thunberg's sailing to America was hoax in terms of being carbon neutral, wasn't it?
Of course it was. It was typical what you see from the global warming alarmists. Everything they talk about is a sleight of hand. And also I'd put the renewable energy advocates in there as well. It's all a sleight of a hand. The idea that she actually went across to the US carbon-free, she went across on one of those high carbon fibre boats worth several $1 million, and all her crew had to fly back. So it would have been, if you're looking at on carbon dioxide emissions, it would have been easier just for less carbon dioxide emissions, just for her to jump on a commercial flight.
Correct. Now, Craig, the issue remains. There she is, the prophetess of global warming, stuck in America. The conference in Spain is in 4 weeks' time. How does she get there? It can't be with a plane. It can't be with a ship using diesel. It can't be with a speedboat. We're running out of options here. I doubt that it can be done with a yacht at this late stage, and with the winter coming in. How would you do it?
Well, there's a couple of carbon-free options. One is you could hitch a ride with a nuclear submarine, but that nuclear power is not something the Greenists like. But the best idea, Andrew, I think, is given that the Arctic sea ice is now frozen over, and you can actually go from...
No, that can't have happened because Tim Flannery said, it was disappearing. But
well, I'm sorry to break the news, but even at this time of year, when there's still 6 months of the freeze-up to go of the Arctic sea ice, you can actually get from Canada to Russia by dog sled. You could go if you want to. It's full solid Arctic sea ice all the way along. So there's no reason why, if she's looking for a carbon-free option, I think a dog sled across the sea ice in the Arctic. The only other problem would be, Andrew, is the polar bears. We know there's an increase in polar bears through there, so you would need a spotter
you're wrong,
to watch out.
All those alarmists said there were fewer polar bears, and you're now telling me that, in fact, local counts have said there are more. But there you go, one more global warming scare debunked. Craig Kelly, brilliant stuff. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thanks, Andrew.
Gee, that's help that Greta Thunberg could use. Before we go to the break,